Welcome to the fastest furniture removal, because this time around we're headed straight back to the Forza Horizon 5 Acceleration Car Pack and the 2022 Ford Supervan 4. I know what you're thinking, why a van? Just watch this video, trust me it'll be fun. From stock this thing has a whopping 1,878 brake horsepower, 1,179 foot-pounds of torque while weighing just a shade over 4,300 pounds. Now I know what you're thinking, this doesn't exactly look like any van you've ever seen before, and you're right, it isn't. It's a Supervan, essentially the racing version that Ford do of every single one of their different transit vans. And going to the inside, there is a massive screen to the right with a lot of dials, options and various assorted things, and well, that's about it. Now let's go ahead and take a listen to the almighty transit kettle. I say kettle because going over to here, this thing is all electric, and as you can see, we've got room for a whopping 3 categories. A little disappointing. Who am I kidding? It's very disappointing. But let's go ahead and start out with tyres and rims and seeing what we've got in, what we've got to offer. We start out, I think, on a full slick, which is very interesting indeed. And we can also go ahead and put drift tyres on this thing, which will be very interesting later. We can also go ahead and make tyres wider. We can go up to a 325 at the front, and then let's see, what can we go up to at the back? That's tyre spaces. That is not the actual tyre. We can go up to 325s at the back as well. We can't really do much to this thing in terms of, well, anything, but we can go ahead and slap on some good brakes, which we're definitely going to go ahead and do. And in case you're wondering, this thing also has drift springs and dampers too for some reason. Well, actually we know the reason, but we'll get to that in a bit. And then all we've got is a drivetrain, which we are going to go ahead and slap in, and also an option for a diff as well, which you bet we're going to go and add too. So as it turns out, this thing was a lot heavier than I first thought, a whopping 4,385 pounds. We've now made it lighter, down to 4,348, same amount of power, and also just a little bit above S2. Above S2? About above halfway through S2. There we go, we'll get there in the end. So as you can see, there really isn't that much room for tuning, but we do have a whopping 2 gears for this thing, which is a lot more than you get in most electric vehicles these days. But we've also got ourselves a lot more tuning than we could work with here, just not many categories, which is honestly a little bit sad. Although, to be fair, having the Rimac motor in this would be mad. Anyway, going over to the paint shop, we actually have a couple of advanced paint groups this time. Paint group number 1 being the main body of the vehicle. And what's paint group number 2? I'm actually intrigued. Is it going to be the... Oh, okay, it is. That's cool. It's like these little extra bits here. Okay, I like that. That's actually a little bit of actually really good design. As for manufacturer colours though, sadly we just have the one here. So I've had a look through the game, and apparently the last Supervan in here was the Supervan 3 from 1994. However, there is also the Super Sports Van as well from 2011, which I don't think is a part of the regular Supervan line of vehicles. And away we go, we're up against a massive just amount of various assorted vehicles with the Supervan 4. This should be very interesting, because I don't know how well it's going to do. I mean, to be fair, we've already binned it off the first corner, so that's probably not a good sign. And now we're going to second gear, hoping our other gear is actually going to be useful, and it is. We're up into third, make that second, and coming up here into first with a slight clonk off a Bugatti. Now the thing I've found about this thing so far that I find kind of weird is this thing just flat does not turn if it's going at high speed, which is, you know, for a super sports van or just a super van in general, something you kind of want it to do. And as for trying to buy one of these things, as far as I know, there's only one of one, and from what I know, I don't even think you can buy it, but you can go ahead and buy a 1/18 scale model of this thing for a whopping near 200 euros. For a scale model, that's mad. And also it's this in pound sterling. So I've also done some digging into this thing. It's powered by 4 different electric motors and has a whopping range of, you guessed it, 22 miles. Yeah, 22 miles out of this thing. All the gear and no idea, anybody? Anyway, at 95% to go, one more turn. Let's try and see if it can stay on the road. There's a Maserati very close to us, but it isn't quite enough. We have managed to cross the line in first in this thing with a time of 1 minute 45, which might honestly be the quickest yet. Well, now we're back at the upgrade shop. This thing did a honestly terrible attempt at turning, so we're going to utilise that to our advantage, and we're going to go ahead and throw on some drag tyres as well. We've already made them wider, which would be very interesting indeed, but now we get to go ahead and see how quick this thing is in a straight line. Now, there really isn't honestly that much to customise. I've gone ahead and thrown on some spacers and also the lightest rims I could find, which are the Volk Racing T37s, but other than that, I really can't do much to this thing, which is honestly a little bit sad. In the meantime, we're a whopping £2 lighter than before, at 4,346 pounds, with not very good rating of lateral Gs. Oh dear. Also, apparently there was another Supervan after this, known as the Supervan 4.2, with a massive wing, and it competed in the 101st Pikes Peak Hill Climb. Now, how's about that for a useless fact? But before we do anything with this Supervan, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's backstage vote. We've got ourselves the Hyundai i30N and the Volkswagen Thing from 1973 versus the Toyota GR Yaris and the Myers Manx. And you know what? I think we deserve to have a little bit of chaos in life. Let's vote for those. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. So here we are now over the edge of the festival. Do we get a little bit of a wheelie check? No, we get absolutely flat nothing. That much of a flat nothing is going to be like this thing in approximately 22 miles. Danger sign, nope. Danger van. Anyway, let's go ahead, get this thing on launch control, and away we go with the electric Supervan 4. Very, very interesting that they've gone electric this time around and not petrol powered. Honestly, a bit of a shame that they did. But let's go ahead and see what we get through the camera. We get ourselves a whopping 204, and off the end of the drive strip at 209, which is, well, pretty decent. And for once, this thing actually has brakes. Of which, if you know this thing, that's essentially considered a miracle. However, now we can go ahead and slap the original tyres back onto this thing, which will be very, very interesting indeed. Make sure they're still widened, I think. Yeah, they should be. Brilliant, they are. Fantastic. And let's go ahead and, well, I guess go ahead and get a top speed build out of this thing. Now, I know what you're thinking. Top speed build out of a van. Are you mad? The answer to that is, well, yes. Yes, I am. I mean, I must be mad. I'm driving something electric. In the meantime, I've chucked on some rims and a few tyre spacers and made this thing a little heavier, but improved the lateral Gs. By how much? I don't know. I say that because they're both at 2.2, but one of them's in the green. However, as we know by now, essentially this thing is useless top speed-wise without its tune, so we're going to go ahead and just slap on a quick top speed tune. In fact, it's that quick that it's done already. Amazing what you can do with only 2 gears. However, before we go any further, it's time to take a look at this week's Forza shop. We've got ourselves a Lotus Elise GT1, a Horizon Backstage Pass, a car horn, which sounds a bit like this. Fantastic. We also have ourselves the Audi R8 V10 Plus, the Extreme E yellow race suit, a super wheel spin, and the regular Horizon wheel spin as well. And now, out to the motorway. However, now it's time to go ahead and see, did we get close to the motorway grade today? Actually, we kind of did get close. That's not too far away at all. You know, I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. Right, anyway, we're at the edges of the motorways, get ourselves on launch control, and away we go with the relatively decent launch. If you know electric vehicles in this game, you know their launches are usually, well, pretty terrible, but that one's actually half decent, and I, for one, am a little bit concerned. Right, any second we should hopefully see, there we go, out the speed zone, 257.64, and we are still, honestly, we're still accelerating, which out of this thing is honestly mad. It even looks semi-space age. I'm going to ignore that car, I hit nothing. Anyway, up here should hopefully be, there's a speed camera, or there was the speed camera, 267 through there, going downhill, 269 at 270. Do we get anything more than that? Nope, just 270 down there. Where's the motorway sign? There it is on the brakes. Let's see what we can get out of this thing. Hopefully something good. You know what? That's actually half decent. I say half decent, it's actually a lot better than half the cars we've had. Now, I was saying earlier in regards to this van and drifting, something that was very interesting. So we're going to stop here, press in the left stick, because now we can see we are rear-wheel drive and in drift mode, because this thing apparently has a drift button, which is mad. So let's go ahead and throw it through here and see just how well it does in drift mode, and then we might throw it again in regular mode through here as well. It took me 2 seconds after that clip to immediately spin it. Let's try and get out of here at 31,506 points. And I am turning drift mode back off again. Right, it's time for our attempt at drift mode, which is essentially speed, power, and hoping for the best. Right, in we go. Can we beat 31,500 points? Can we beat this thing's official drift mode? I'm going to hope we can, and indeed we do. We blast that out of the water at 36,316 points. So it seems that sometimes drift mode isn't exactly what everybody wanted it to be. In the meantime, that is the Ford Supervan 4. Very, very interesting vehicle indeed, and honestly, I don't know if they're going to make a Supervan 5, but in the future, if they do, it's going to be very interesting, and I reckon it'll probably end up in the next Horizon game. But in the meantime, should you pick this thing up for yourself? I mean, if you have the acceleration car pack for some of the other cars, you might as well, because this thing is, well, this thing comes with it. But if you're just looking to get this vehicle specifically, then honestly, it's cool to have in your garage, but well, I'll put it this way. I've got 2 of these, and I've only just driven them now for the video, so make of that what you will. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that. But yeah, cheers for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Tech out. See ya. Right, back to petrol power, methinks.